I put up a God of War update video a couple weeks ago, and to my surprise, there was a lot of you in the community in the comments that were very pro Atreus spinoff. And the God of War video we put up before that, it was completely the opposite. But I read through every single comment, and there were a ton of comments saying, I would like to see Atreus. I would like to see him grow and see what kind of spinoff and story they could do with it. Well, I have some updates for you guys. Trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Jimmy or Chaos. Drop a like, make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications, and yes, I read every single comment. Now, there is a ton of buzz about a new God of War spinoff. We talked about that, and something might be happening that's completely unexpected. We've heard the rumors about Kratos returning to the Greek roots, having a 2.5D Metroidvania-style adventure, and then a ton of speculation about Atreus getting his own spotlight. I mean, could the young archer actually grow up and star in his own game? Well, the community is pretty divided on this one, but we're going to talk about all of it. Plus, I'm going to give you guys a huge development about the next main God of War 6. So stick around for everything. The main focus will be about the Atreus spinoff. But before we get into that, let's talk about the rumored God of War spinoff that everybody else thinks it is. According to multiple reputable insiders, we're talking Tom Henderson, Jeff Grubb, big names in the leak world, Santa Monica Studio has a new God of War project in development. It's not a simple remaster, and it's not a DLC, but a standalone side story in the God of War universe. So think of it like the Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales was to the main Spider-Man game. So a shorter, unique adventure that hopefully still packs a punch. What's intriguing about it is the style and setting. Now, initially, people thought this spinoff might take us back to ancient Greece in a full-blown prequel. In fact, early leaks on forums like Reset Era suggested a Greek-era storyline, possibly even involving Kratos' brother. And that would be set before Kratos became the ghost of Sparta, before the original games. So imagine a young, angry Kratos teaming up with his brother on some quest. That would be cool. But here's the twist. Henderson and Grubb now say this project is a much smaller in scope project than the typical God of War, and it will adopt a 2D or 2.5D Metroidvania format. You heard me right. God of War in a side-scrolling Metroidvania style. Now, if that sounds hard to picture, think of games like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown or Dead Cells, but set in the God of War universe. And according to these insiders, you would still be playing as Kratos, likely in his younger Spartan days, and you would be wielding the Blades of Chaos. Slice through enemies, handcrafted 2D world. They painted a vivid image of a classic Greek setting with Kratos running up temple walls, fighting mythological beasts, maybe encountering familiar faces like his brother along the way. All with that old school hack and slash flair, but in a fresh art style. Basically, God of War beats Hollow Knight in concept, I guess you could say. Now, that sounds cool, but I think they could go a better way. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Now, both Tom and Jeff have publicly corroborated this on social media, which gives it a lot of weight. Henderson mentioned he was hearing the same chatter. New God of War, smaller scale, Metroidvania vibe, and Grubb gave a definite nod of agreement. So when two of the most reliable gaming insiders are echoing each other, it's hard not to take notice. This isn't just some random fan theory. It's coming from people with industry connections. And one more thing initially before we start talking about the Atreus spinoff, there's rumors that this could drop even as early as this fall. Yeah, I mean, the latest word from Jeff Grubb is the project has been internally delayed to 2026, so I would definitely go with that. That suggests development is ongoing, but we might not see it at all this year. So a 2026 release for a smaller God of War title makes sense. If they started it in 2023 or 2024, that's about a 2 to 3 year dev cycle. And if true, Sony probably chose to give the team more time, perhaps avoiding crowding their 2025 lineup. Now, there's no official confirmation yet from Santa Monica Studio, so take it all with a grain of salt, but it does line up with how Sony likes to fill the gaps between their next big release, which of course would be God of War. This again would be described as a side story, not a main game, so keep that in mind. Now, what everybody in my videos has been talking about. Atreus in the spotlight. Now, it kind of took me by surprise. In my last video, I mentioned that nobody really wants an Atreus-centric spin-off game right now. And a lot of you, well, you went to the comments and you made me feel like I was way off. It turns out there are way more people than I thought who would actually like to see Atreus' story continue, or at least open to the idea of playing as Atreus in a new game. So after reading every single comment, once again, yes, I read them all, I had to rethink my stance a bit. So what's the deal with this? Is it happening? Is it just a fan wish? And as of now, most official leaks and insider reports have not pointed to an Atreus-led game as the next project. The credible leaks that we discussed from Grubb and Henderson are all about Kratos in the Greek past. However, there were early rumors and speculation swirling that Santa Monica could do an Atreus-focused game. For example, one report from the Times of India brought up the possibility that the new spinoff might focus on his son instead of Kratos, and then Kratos would kind of be his buddy, help him out, right? We would switch roles from Ragnarok, and there was a lot of questions left in Ragnarok. I mean, Atreus' heritage, future, all that stuff. It does make him a prime candidate for a standalone story, and on top of that, within the community, people have been talking about what an Atreus game could look like. On Reddit, I saw fans discussing a rumor that the spinoff could take place after he parted ways with Kratos to go find the remaining giants, which is exactly what Atreus Loki sets out to do at the end of Ragnarok. Folks are also saying, well, who could be the main enemies? Easy. I mean, names like the Norse god of darkness were thrown around. Even our old friend Sindri was mentioned as a possible antagonist, given how things ended in Ragnarok. There's clearly a chunk of the fan base that finds the idea of guiding Atreus through his own adventure pretty exciting. Now, with that being said, not everybody's on board. And this is where my original read, the fans that weren't keen on the Atreus game, came from. A lot of longtime God of War fans are strongly attached to Kratos as the protagonist. Some comments and fans on forums expressed they would rather follow Kratos in the next Mythology than switch to Atreus solo. One Reddit comment I saw put it bluntly. Said, I think the Norse chapter is closed now. I doubt they will have Norse figures play big roles in the next installments, essentially saying that Atreus' story in the Norse realm might be over and it's time to move on. It's also the point that from a narrative perspective, God of War Ragnarok wrapped up a lot of Atreus' arc. He discovered who he was, set him on his own path, all that good stuff. So Santa Monica might be ready to leave that plot line for a while and explore new ground, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But the fact that so many of you commented in favor of an Atreus spinoff means it has to be an idea that Santa Monica can't entirely ignore. Even if the current project is in development is about Kratos, who's to say we won't get an Atreus-focused game in the future? The studio does tons of work, and they did a lot of work creating Atreus' combat style, character, storyline. They could repurpose those mechanics in new context. There's also an interesting story possibility here. Atreus searching for giants could introduce new realms or even new mythologies from his perspective. It could have a different tone, more youthful, more focused on magic and archery and shape-shifting. Remember, Atreus can now turn into animals. Might not be a full $70 AAA title, but it could be a shorter spinoff, even DLC sized at some point down the line. And as of now, I know, all reliable info points to Kratos remaining front and center. I mean, the leaks from the upcoming spinoff, they focus on Kratos' past, and hints for the next main God of War, which is God of War 6, also revolve around Kratos in the new mythos, with maybe Atreus possibly in a supporting role. Santa Monica also likely saw the mixed fan reactions. Plenty want Kratos to continue leading the series, so I wouldn't expect an Atreus-only game imminently, but I have to admit, you guys did make a strong case that that world would have an audience. I've actually warmed up to it. I started thinking about it. If I had to pick, would I rather have a 2.5D Metroidvania of Kratos before the original trilogy, or would I rather have a fully fleshed out Atreus is about 20 years old and off on his own adventure? I'd probably lean toward the Atreus game. That's kind of where I'm at now that I'm starting to think about it. So I'm getting on board with a lot of you. Now, let me know. You let me know which way you'd like to go. I told you guys I would give you an update on God of War 6, the new mythology, the Egyptian rumors. I mean, this is what's going around. Egyptian mythology is probably going to be the setting for the next God of War. That's right. Kratos versus Ra, Anubis, all of them. Now, the rumor, it started out with Daniel Rickman. You might know him from Film and Game Scoops. Allegedly discovered a Sony casting call for Middle Eastern actors for an unannounced AAA game. He shared with his, Patreon and sources that Sony was specifically looking to cast roles that would fit an ancient Middle Eastern Egyptian setting. Now, they didn't say outright for God of War, but fans immediately connected the dots. I mean, what other big Sony franchise would need a bunch of Middle Eastern actors and could plausibly go to Egypt? God of War is the prime suspect, and it's not just because of the casting call. Fans have been speculating and requesting an Egypt arc for years. And here's a little bit of history for you. Egypt was almost the setting of God of War 2. Cory Barlog, the game director, and the team were initially torn between Norse and Egyptian mythology when rebooting the series, and it was reportedly a close call. The team was about 50-50 split on going to Egypt versus going to Scandinavia, and they ultimately chose Norse, partially to differentiate from other games like Assassin's Creed Origin, which was in Egypt at the same time. So Egypt has always been on the table. I mean, I guess a what-if scenario for God of War, and given that it's not far-fetched now, I mean, after 2 games in Midgard, Santa Monica's probably like, all right, let's do Egypt. And that casting rumor for Rittman, it adds credibility, but even the insider himself, he couched it as speculation. He said Sony hasn't confirmed anything, and we should note that because they're casting Middle Eastern roles, it could theoretically be for a new IP or another game entirely. So don't take it as gospel that God of War 6 equals Egypt. Well, I'm here to tell you, I think God of War 6 equals Egypt. I mean, I just do. What would that look like? I mean, Kratos, presumably Atreus with him, unless they leave him out for a while, could travel to a desert region, maybe follow some mystical call or refugee from that land. Egyptian mythology is rich. We could see Kratos, like I said, against Ra, the sun god, Anubis, the god of death, so many different ones. Pyramids, golden sands, massive temples, undead mummies, sphinxes. I mean, it's crazy. I wonder how he gets there. I mean, what's the doorway here to go from the Norse mythology to a completely different one? Then again, he went from Greek mythology over to Norse. So we'll see. Now, the big question for me is, are we going to get Atreus in God of War 6? Is he going to tag along? I think he absolutely should. Should he play a buddy cop type role? I don't know, but he definitely needs to be in the storyline. Now, timing, you guys already know. I mean, Santa Monica released Ragnarok in 2022. Big AAA sequels take 4 to 5 years. So if the spinoff comes in 2026 as rumored, you're probably going to see God of War 6 in 2027 or 2028. The spinoff is to keep the hype going and give you something as filler. So that's about where we're at. You guys, let me know what you think. There's definitely a God of War spinoff in development. We don't know if it's going to be a 2.5 Greek Mythology Kratos side-scroller, or if it's going to be something focused on Atreus. I'm kind of hoping for the latter. And then fans seem to be pretty split too. In God of War 6, I mean, it's a new pantheon. It's happening, and all arrows, big red arrows, point straight to Egypt. If it wasn't Egypt, where would you guys want it to be? Now, keep in mind, these are all rumors and leaks, obviously, but we like to cover everything on this channel. I truly, truly appreciate all of you. I'll see you soon.